Good afternoon, Mr. Ashutosh.
Good
Welcome to
afternoon.
the Festival of Marketing.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Lovely session, by the way.
Thanks a lot.
I have a few questions for you. If I ask you that brands are blurring the lines between marketing and entertainment these days to attract more and more customers, what is your take on this?
See, while that's very prominent and you can see that across categories, the fact of the matter is, however, that just because you have managed to catch the eye of a consumer, it may not translate into you actually using them. And predominantly, in my view, these are very short-sighted moves. Ultimately, the consumer needs to think about you when they're about to consume the category which you represent as a brand. And at that point in time, what do you offer clearly needs to get established. When you blur the line between entertainment and a brand messaging, then what irrespectively happens is that you just remain a placeholder. Consumer may be able to recollect you, but they may not be able to recollect your message. They may not be able to recollect what do you stand for. And I think that's a very sticky wicket to be on, because in spite of putting the money and resources to reach out to that consumer, you will not be salient with any definitive reasons why they should try you. So I think that's a slippery ground, and brands need to be caution about it.
On that note, I'd ask you that how do you balance short-term performance marketing goals with long-term brand building during the festive season?
So, short-term performance marketing is important in festive season because there's only a certain duration, and across categories, if you see data in last 3 years, you'll see that there's a massive saliency from a consumer spending point of view and their ability to purchase. So it gives a very good reason for categories and brand to be relevant and to be seen. Now of course, you don't want to splurge money, and hence the role of performance marketing. But having said that, the work of being relevant to the consumer cannot start just at festive season. You have to start that journey well ahead. You have to, seed the ground before you start doing performance marketing oriented communication. And I think that's where the balance is. The kind of approach which we follow, we essentially run an entire annual calendar of marketing campaigns, and we try to, peak it at a point of festivity, so that whatever we have worked upon, say in balance 9 months or 3 quarters, we leverage that out in the fourth quarter when the festive season comes in. So we basically follow a systematic approach of rolling down a calendar rather than just counting on festive time to get the requisite purchase and consumption from the consumers.
Okay, so if we say, as we know that there is like a lot of noise during the festive season, all the brands are advertising at their peak. So, what can a brand do to stand out at that time?
I think not just festive season, but across the year, for a brand to stand out, you have to be true to the brand's core. And what is happening very often is that people are getting caught up in fads, or brands are getting caught up in fads and fashion, and they tend to make communications and have propositions which are only salient on, say, digital media or on social media. I think that's a pitfall. For you to stand out, there has to be a connection between you and your consumer. That can only happen if there is a genuine ground which you as a brand represent. If that ground is missing, then irrespective of all the fascinating and interesting thing which you can talk about, consumer will never be able to recall you for a specific reason. And I think the way to address that particular problem is that you have to be true to yourself, true to the brand code, true to the brand message. And also, there's this huge thing that many times brand in this entire chase of being relevant, they land up making claims which are not representative of their actual offerings. So one need to be slightly mindful of that as well. Ultimately, consumer, even if they were to like your messaging, they will ultimately go ahead and choose your products. So your product along with your message need to speak the same language. If that coherence is there, if that sync is there, only then you are actually driving the message, else is going to fall flat on a long-term basis.
That was very insightful. I hope the marketers out there take help from this. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time, Mr.
Thanks a
Ashutosh.
lot. Pleasure.